Chris Petri here. Welcome. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, wherever you may be. Hey, we're here. We're doing portrait painting, figure painting. This is the most really exciting and fun part of watercolor and drawing and painting in watercolor. I find that the more you're challenged and the more you have to really kind of like stretch and, expand your boundaries, you'll find great excitement in watercolor, in drawing and painting in watercolor with portraits and figures. So I'm going to be doing more portraits and figures in watercolor here on my channel, and I've already done numerous videos. You can go back into my archives, but for the most part, we're going to continue on doing portraits and figures here on this channel, and we're doing a fun pirate and a parrot. How much fun can you have, right, with this type of painting? We're doing a pirate and a parrot. Right away you're kind of having a halfway fun time already at it. And in this video, we're going to cover all the details that you need to create this beautiful painting. And it doesn't have to come out perfect. You give it a go. You try it once, twice, you do it 3, 4, 5 times, and you start to kind of get the feel for it. So don't feel like, if you haven't tried portrait painting and figure painting, just give it a go. Have a good time with it. You can do it differently than I do it. You can do caricatures. You can do it with pen instead of pencil. You can use more of a faster approach where you do maybe like a pen drawing and then add some light watercolor washes to it and then get on to your next one. So, you do it as you feel. Whatever's going to work for you. I hope you'll adjust your, way of doing things. I can't say that I'm always right every time when I'm doing things like this, paintings like this, videos like this. I'm not right or, perfect every time, obviously. So you do the best you can. If you need to change your approach, change your methods and techniques, that's fine too. But I feel like I'm covering the basics for you. So if you just stick with the basics I'm showing here, I think you'll have a great start to doing some figures and paintings, okay? So please don't feel like, you just want to give up and not take the challenge. Do the challenge. Try it out. Have fun. It's a pirate and a parrot. You're going to have a fun time with it, right? It's just like a fun idea. You can do a clown maybe next time. Maybe we'll do a clown next time, and maybe after that we'll do something fun and interesting too down the line in the next couple months or so. But the main thing is have fun with it. Try it out. And trust me, you're going to have a good time with this. It's really fun. We cover all the details again from the very beginning, how to draw this painting, then how to think about the different colors you're going to use, and then, of course, finishing up and doing all the different washes that you need to do to get this all completed 100%. So have fun. Enjoy this video. We'll start up in just a second. We're just going to get our art supplies and palette and brushes ready, and we'll start the video in just a second, okay? See you in just a minute. All right, welcome everybody. Chris Petri here. We're actually getting started. We're going to do some portrait work. You just saw the finished painting. We did a pirate with a parrot. Hey, what a fun painting this was. So you're going to see how much fun we're going to have as we go through this painting. It's a portrait painting. And again, here on my channel, I always like to say, like, we do everything here watercolor, but we do change our subject matter. So we'll do lighthouses, we'll do boats, we'll do some flower paintings, some still life paintings, we'll do seascapes, landscapes. We'll do some portraits, some figure painting. We do everything watercolor here. So this way you get a really good rounded feel for the watercolor medium and drawing and painting, all the techniques that go into it, and all the different subject matter that you can actually work in. So whatever your favorite subject matter is, you kind of might want to tailor your painting and your drawing and painting for that subject matter. So you might like to really paint portraits, and you might just want to do mostly portraits. That's fine. You paint what you like to paint and what you really feel is going to get you juiced to do your painting and your drawing and get excited about it. And that's the fun part of watercolor is you just pick your couple favorites. You might have one favorite. You might have 2 or 3 favorite subjects that you like to paint. You might love seascapes, and then you might love portrait painting or figure painting. You might like those 2. Well, then stick with those 2, but you can learn the other ones too, dabble in those as well. You're better off trying to kind of diversify as you go, as you learn. Does that make sense? So you want to do the whole enchilada. You just don't want to be like doing just one thing. Try to practice everything, but practice more on the things that you like to do. So that's what we're going to do here. For some of you that really love portrait painting, this is your video, and this is we're going to do that. We're going to cover just, you know, some simple basics of portrait painting, and have a good time of it. And again, you just saw the finished painting. It's a pirate with a parrot, just a fun-loving style painting. Everyone can do this. It's, you know, kind of you know, something that's you know, fun. Everyone can relate to it. And we'll get into this now. The main thing I like to say is, I think I might turn this light down a bit. So I just turned the light down a bit. It was kind of bright over here. I'm trying to adjust my lights all the time. I don't know what looks good on the video here, but I think too bright a light is not too good. So when you're doing portrait painting, just real simple, absolute basic bare bottom fundamentals is, you know, you're dealing with like an egg shape. The head is like an egg shape, right? Sort of like an egg. And then you can just simply divide it in half, and then you have your eyes. So you can say that the halfway point is the eyes, relatively speaking, you know. Then if you go another halfway between this half and the bottom area of the chin, you have the nose, the bottom of the nose. And then halfway between the nose and the chin, you have the lips. So if you just keep those few halfway, on the head is the eyes. And you might make this note for yourself. You might take this sketch I'm doing and just make this quick note for yourself. Okay, that's the eyes halfway. And then the nose is another halfway. Bottom of nose is halfway between the eyes and the chin. And then the lips are halfway between the bottom of the nose and the chin. Just a relatively, to keep yourself on track when you're going to do a portrait painting, when you're going to draw a head and do some eyes and nose and lips and start creating a portrait painting. That's just a real basic thing, you know. There's other people that kind of like break it down a little more, you know, in detail than this, but if you just go with this basic formula, if you stick with this basic formula, you're going to really, it's going to turn out pretty good for you. You're going to have a good idea of the basic layout of the head and the features of the face. So if you do that, you know, you're going to have a good chance of doing a nice portrait for the most part. And have fun with your portraits. Draw them silly. Draw caricatures. We'll do some caricature style portraits in the future here on this channel. So I'm always saying, you know, keep coming back here all the time. Please subscribe right on the right-hand side down here below. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. When you click the subscribe button, it'll ask you if you want to click on the notification bell. Click that notification bell. This way you're plugged into us here. You're plugged into my channel. You can keep coming back and just watching the videos. If you want to work along, great. If not, you're just watching. Even watching my videos, you're going to learn a lot of information, and it's going to really sink in, and you're going to really cognitively learn what I'm teaching. It'll really be a big, you know, help to you when you're doing your artwork. Absolutely will help you. So please, I always say subscribe. Don't take it for granted that you just found this video on this by chance, you know, this one time. If you click subscribe, you'll get my videos all of the time, and this way you won't have to go out and search it, and you may never find me again, because on YouTube there's so many people on YouTube teaching and all the great content on YouTube, but sometimes it's such a big place, sometimes you can't find things. And I know a lot of people, sometimes you might see me one time and then you might go back and try to find me and you can't find me because there's just so many videos on YouTube and so many creators. So if you hit the subscribe button today, right now, then you'll know you're going to stick with my channel. You'll stick with me. You'll keep going, following my videos. And again, you'll learn a tremendous amount of information. And I want you to get better at your watercolors. That's the main reason I'm here. I'm just here because I want to see you get better at your watercolors. And it makes me incredibly happy to know that your paintings are going to get better. You're going to feel better about your paintings, your artwork, and it's going to kind of juice you and get you excited. It's a part of your life you'll be really happy about, excited. It's a little like bright spot in your life. You know, you'll have bright spots in life. Sometimes you have unhappy things that go, you know, not so great, whatever. We all have those things. I do too. But my artwork is always fun and exciting for me. I want you to have that same happiness with your artwork, with your artwork. I want it to be a joy, a little bit of joy in your life that you can have that's separate from everything else, that you can always plug into, have fun with, go to, and you're going to be just tapped into that joy and that fun of it all. So let's keep going on here and continuing. Again, this is your basic layout. If you can draw this or sketch this, hit pause, and maybe you can try to draw this if you can, kind of draw the layout here of what I did here. Maybe in other videos in the future, I'm going to go over this more in detail. Maybe we can go over a step-by-step doing this. But we're doing a fun video here. Let's just continue on. The second thing I would say is just try to keep in mind that there's different head shapes. So, you know, someone might have a more round head shape like this. Someone might have more of a oval or like, like more of an oval type shape head. Some people might have more of a round shape head like so. Some people might have a pear shape head like this. So when you're doing a portrait or you're doing any kind of portrait paintings or drawings, just kind of, first thing you do is kind of scope out and look and see what kind of shape the head is for the person or the picture that you're working from is. Is this person's head more round? Is it more of like an oval? Is it kind of a pear shape? Is it more maybe square? Maybe somebody has more of a squarish kind of shape. You can just look for that little subtlety you might see in the shape of someone's head. Someone's basically underneath the head, of course, is the skull. So everyone's skulls are different shapes. Like, you know, they vary just a little bit, but you can sometimes see it when you're looking at someone's picture, or you're working from a painting, or if you're working from someone you know, a picture, whatever. You kind of just want to take a look, as you know. And then once you have that, the third thing is just when you're doing your drawing is just remember it's three-dimensional. So when you're doing your dimensions like this, your halfway point, the bottom of your nose, the lips, you just want to sort of remember that it is sort of rounded. The head is sort of like a ball. It's three-dimensional. So you might just want to sort of get that feel that things are round. So you want to kind of take that into consideration when you're doing your drawing. So when you're doing the eyes of a head and the nose and the lips, you know, you just want to kind of have a feel for the roundness of the head. It's round, it's a ball, it's three-dimensional, so you can kind of incorporate that into your drawing a little bit. Here we're doing a front view, so this would be considered a front view. A front view. So in a front view, you're not going to see too much curvature and things like that, but still, you know, in a front view, that's more simple. So if you're just starting out and you haven't done too much work with portrait work, stick with your front views. Try to find pictures, and you're going to try to find subject matter. If you're looking up magazines, pictures, photographs online, whatever it is, if you're looking to do some portrait paintings, try to stick with front views, where you're not going to get too challenged with maybe some of the three-dimensional looks. If you're doing a three-dimensional portrait painting, you know, you start to have to really deal with the three dimensions of the head, and that can sometimes be a little challenging. So, you know, you have to you know, those, it's a little more challenging to draw like a 3/4 view. A 3/4 view is going to give you more issues, more challenges. So don't worry in the beginning. Maybe start out, build up some really good confidence with your front view, or it's kind of more simple. There's no angles. Then maybe once you're built up and you're kind of doing front views really well, then you start trying to do some 3/4 views, which, you know, you'll start to see the ear over here and the side plane of the head like that, you know. So there's different things, you know, that you'll learn as you go. We'll cover it here on my channel as well, but just to kind of start you off, these few notes here will go a long way. Sticking with your front view, you're going to really get a lot of success with that. You know, you're only going to see a little bit of the ear over here. Sometimes you can even not have to worry about the ear. You're going to have hair, and if you're going to have hair, you're not even going to see the ears, so you won't have to worry about drawing an ear. You'll have hair covering the ears, right? So if you stick with that front view, you're going to have an easier time. You'll have to just worry about the eyes, the nose, and the lips. And then the shadowing and different things, you know, a little bit of detail, but for the most part, the chin, you know, but for the most part, that's an easy thing to start with. So if you're just starting out with portraiture and doing portraits, stick with the front view, do that a lot. Just keep working on front views, try everything you can. And then once you start getting really comfortable with that, then you start working into your 3/4 view, like this. You could either do it right or left, you know. And again, you're just getting that feel for the roundness of the head. You know, you're doing the so this is just, once you start going into once you start doing the 3/4 view, you're absolutely going to run into having to deal with the curvature and the roundness, the volume of the head, the shapes of that. You know, our heads, our skulls are three-dimensional, of course, so this is the three-dimensional kind of 3D view. This here's the 2D view, two dimensions, just, you know, really for the, so just a little tidbit of information. And in this painting here, it's going to be more or less your front view. We're going to do a front view. So we'll have some fun. Just wanted to cover these basics. So this is what you want to kind of bring, these notes, you want to jot these down if you can. You know, you can hit pause right now, jot down these few notes. Maybe you just need to jot down these notes up here, just where the layout of everything is. So you kind of get the feel. Eyes are halfway on the head. If you're talking halfway, you have your eye sockets, and then you have an eye between each. So if you can imagine, there's an eye length between your eyes. So if you have your eyes here, there's an eye length in width between your eyes here, and there's an eye length in between your corner of your eye to the side of your head where your ear is. So in essence, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 eye lengths in between for your head. So your head here in front view, frontal view, your eyes should be one there and one here, and then you have an eye length here, and an eye length here. So you're 5 eye lengths wide. 2 of those are your actual eyes, and then you have that space of an eye between the 2 eyes and an eye space between the ear and the corner of your eye on the other sides of each of your eyes, on both sides of your head. And we could draw glasses like that. So if you think of it as glasses, if you have a pair of glasses on, here's your glasses. You have a lens of your glass over here, another lens of your glass over here, and a lens of your glass over here as far as your spacing. So that's your spacing of your eye lengths on your head. So if you draw your eyes really tiny and you have a really wide head like this, that's not going to look correct, right? So you got to kind of just keep in mind that your eye lengths are spaced on your head like so. One eye length here, one eye length here, one width of your eye length here, and then an eye length over here, and then start your ear, and start your ear here. Okay, so I hope this is helpful. Have fun with it though, that's the most important thing. Have fun, enjoy it. Let's start out our pencil drawing now. Okay, so I'm going to draw, again, my pirate. Let me start over here. I'm going to draw the oval of the head here. I'm drawing this very lightly. You can barely see it. I'll go over it darker. So now, I'm going to do it darker just so you can kind of get the feel for what I'm doing. So I'm going here, and I'm making sort of a rectangular shape here, like an egg shape here. Again, we're doing an egg shape like so. Okay. Then I'm kind of coming down, then the neck is here, and there's a shirt here like so. So I'm going to put a shirt here, a line there for the neck and the shirt. And let's start out with the head. Now we're going to do we have a hat on our head here. So if we have remember we're doing our shape of the head here, a little bit of a curve, and our halfway point across is like so. We're pretty much in frontal view, a little touch of a turn. The head is turning just a little bit this way, but not much. So you can consider this pretty much a frontal view. And then I'm going to try to capture the cap here. He's going to wear a pirate cap. And some hair over here. Eyes, ears over here. Like so. We don't see an ear over here because his head is, our pirate's head is turning a little bit this way, so we don't see the ear over here, but we do see his ear over here. Maybe we're going to put an earring on his ear. Let's do that. And then we're going to do the eye sockets, let's say. All right, so remember we were talking before about how there's 5 eye lengths across the face. So if we draw one in the center here, and we draw an eye socket here, and one here, that's pretty good. And then we have an eye socket in the middle, like so, and then another eye socket over here. I know it's a little tough to see, bear with me on this, but I'm just drawing my 5 eye sockets across the head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The one on the right's a little bit shorter, so again, that head is turned a little bit this way, but not much. Again, no need to really get crazy or worry about that too much. Then we're going to go down and say our halfway point is our nose. Here we go. So we have our halfway point, that's the nose. And then another halfway point is the mouth. And then we have our chin under here. So we have our chin already all set up on the bottom here. And let's start out by doing our eyes. So here's our eyes. Corner of the eyes are right in the corners of those eye sockets we created, those ovals there. And I'm just going to do an eye over here, And I just do an eye there, and I go over an eye length over here, and then over here we have another eye length. And I'll do the eyelid, and then the eye, the actual eye itself, over here, like so. So again, I'm just kind of getting in the basics of it. Okay, and that's the eye socket, and then we have some sideburns over here that go down about most of this side of the ear. So he's got some sideburns over here, and then his hair is over here, and then he has his hat here. Okay, we're going to continue working on the face here. So we have the eyes, those are good. Then we are going to get the nose in a little bit. Let's get the bottom of the nose. Bottom of the nose. Very little I see. I just see a little bit of darks for the nostrils, but not much. And then a couple corners of the nostrils over here. And I see a bit of darks over here. We'll paint in the shadows, so don't worry. We're going to paint in most of the information. We just want to get the basic layout here, the rough layout. Okay, so now underneath his nose we have the dental arch of his mouth here, and then we're going to put his lips. And let's just do his mouth like so. And we have his mouth there is a little bit open. We won't worry about that. We'll just leave his lips pursed. So this way we'll kind of have his lips pursed, no problem. He's got a little bit of a large chin there, I can see. His chin's pretty large. That looks pretty good. So his chin looks good, and he's got some creases in his corners of his mouth that go down to his jaw, lower jaw. Some wrinkles a little bit. And we'll cover that again with our painting. When you're painting, does this make sense? When you're painting, you're going to paint in some of your details, so you don't have to get many details when you're doing your drawing. So when we're doing our pencil drawing here, you don't have to get a lot of details. You just kind of get the basics where everything is: the lips, the chin, the nose, the eyes. We're just working methodically on our face here. So our portrait. So we did our eyes first. Once we got our egg shape in and we got the halfway point, then we got our eyes in, our nose, our lips, and we were following again. Please, please, please follow your notes here, where we said our head is basically, the head is an oval, an egg shape, in base. If we're just looking at it in basics, egg shape is the head shape. You divide the egg in half and you have your eyes. That's where your eyes are approximately. Then from your eyes down to your bottom of your chin, the halfway point is the bottom of your nose, the bottom of the nose of the figure. Then when you take the bottom of your nose and you go down to your chin, the halfway point there is your lips. And that's really the breakdown of the anatomy of your facial features, for everyone's facial features. And then you have little minor variations. Sometimes people's head shapes are a little different, and we just talked about that a little bit. Sometimes someone's head might be more round, more oval shaped, pear shaped, kind of like square shaped. There's differences there, here and there. Try to see that when you're doing a portrait. But for the most part, we're capturing the main basics we need here, and we have that. We're good to go. We really have the features now all completed. We're good. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll do the hat. We'll do the pirate's hat, and we'll start doing his coat. He has a jacket on. He has a parrot on the right-hand side over here. We're going to do a fun parrot, a gorgeous red parrot over here on his right shoulder. So we're going to have a lot of fun doing this, but I hope you'll take your time with this. Take your time. Maybe you'll practice this a few times, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and then maybe you'll do this painting 4 or 5 times, and by the 5th time you do it, you'll have a much better result, because you're going to have to go through these steps of learning a little bit of the fundamentals of portrait painting if you haven't done it before. But if you've painted portraits before, well then and you understand the breakdowns of the shapes and all the placement of the eyes, the nose, the mouth, and the head shapes and things like that, well, then you're just going to kind of join along with us now, and you're having more fun. You're just going to create this painting, you know, in a more carefree way, because you're kind of already up to speed on some of the fundamentals. But those of you that are just starting out, no reason you cannot do portrait work. It's really simple. You just have to keep this chart. Again, we make your own charts. Keep this in your studio. Keep this next to you. Keep a folder with notes in it and say, hey, this is my notes right here. Frontal view. And that's all you have to remember, front view. And then you just have your placement of all your eyes, your nose, your mouth, your chin. And then we talked about how, you know, your eyes are placed in your eyes are, if you can imagine, you have your two eyes with one eye length in between as a spacing where your nose is, and then you have another eye length over here on each side before the side of your head starts. So, you know, these couple notes, all you need. This is all you need, and you're off and running with your portrait work, and you can start doing presidents and famous people and your favorite TV characters. You can do cartoon characters. You can do whatever you want. You'll have a great time of it. This is all you need. And you do everything frontal view until you're so comfortable with your frontal view. Then you start working into your three-dimensional views, which would be your three-quarter views, like this, where you're starting to make some curves and getting the curvature and the three-dimensional feel of the human head started. But you don't need to do that in the beginning. In the beginning, just get your front view done. Start working on that. Memorize all the spacing of your eyes, your nose, your mouth, and you're all set. Let's take a break, and we'll be right back. Okay, hey, we're starting up again. And forgive me, please forgive me. I forgot to get the rectangle here. We like to always say that we're working within a rectangle, and I like to always kind of do a border around my my watercolor paper. I like to put in a border so we kind of can see we're working within this rectangle here. And so I'd like to do that. Let's have that there. Now we're going to sort of, we've actually, at this point you can kind of rest. When you see that you've done your portrait, like when you've done your eyes, your nose, your mouth, you know, you've got your ear in here, you've kind of got your head done, then you really, like, you say to yourself, let me just lighten up and have more of a free, fun time, because now I'm going to do the clothing and some of the other, we're going to do a little parrot and have a fun time with this. If you're, you know, try to have fun when you're actually doing your paintings. Obviously, sometimes when you're working on the head, the nose, the eyes, the mouth, you know, you're a little more stressed, you're a little more tense, you know, you're in there, you're trying to get things good, accurate, understandable. But then once you have a difficult part of your painting completed, then you kind of just want to relax, feel relaxed. Say, hey, yeah, I got the hard parts done now. Now I can kind of free myself up and have a little more feeling of you're relaxing now. So now when I'm doing the clothing and the parrot and the rest of the subject matter in this painting here, I'm going to try to free myself up, feel a little more relaxed. And I do take breaks, and that's why I say, please take breaks. I know, you know, some of you can work 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours at a time, and you don't need to take any breaks. But if you do take a break, honestly, it does really help. Like if you're sitting down and you like to draw and paint sitting down, I know there's everyone out there. You all have different ways of setting up your art supplies and your paint and your palettes and your working setup. You know, some of you might sit down when you work. Some of you might stand up when you paint. Some of you might have an easel and you work with an easel standing up. Some of you might have an easel, you sit down. Some of you might work at a kitchen table, or you might sit in your easy chair and you have like a board, and then you have your paper on top of a board taped down, and you work on top of that with your maybe your paints and your water pail and stuff, you know, maybe on the sides of where you work, whatever kind of chair you might sit in. I know everyone has different ways of doing things. I'll go over different, actually this is a great video. We'll do in the future, we'll do a really fun, exciting video in the future of all the different ways I can think of that some of you might be, let's do that. I'm going to pretend I'm going to try to think of all the different ways that you all out there at work, what kind of setups you have. I know I have quite a few different setups that I use that work for me, and I've done a lot of different setups as I've gone through my working areas, how I work and stuff like that. So I'm kind of going off on a little bit of a tangent here, but I'll try to do in the future, in the very near future, some different setups you can think of so that it might help you to maybe change, or you might like your setup the way it is and you don't need to really change things in any way. But for the most part, the main reason I say this is if you're sitting down when you work, you might want to stand up every 15, 20 minutes, stretch out, walk around a little bit, get a little, relax a little bit. If you're standing up when you're painting, you might want to sit down for 10, 15 minutes or 10 or even 5 minutes. Just sit down, relax. Your body will relax if you sit down if you're standing up when you paint, because your body has to actually work. Your brain has to work hard to keep your body balanced. So if you're standing up, your brain is actually thinking of, how am I going to balance this body here? Let me continually monitor everything as you're balancing, as you're standing. I stand when I work like this. So I'm standing. My brain is working hard to keep me balanced so that I don't fall over in the middle of the video here. So if you hear a loud boom or thump, I fell over. But in any case, your brain has to work hard if you're standing, or harder if you're standing and working. If you're sitting down, you're going to be a little more relaxed because your brain doesn't have to think as much or work on keeping you balanced as much. If you're standing up, your brain's working a little harder. So what I'm saying is, whether you're standing or sitting, take a break every 15, 20 minutes. It's much better. And you also can relax. And then when you come back to start up again, you might see a few things and say, oh yeah, now that I'm coming back, I notice I'm going to change this a little bit. I'm going to do this a little different. Or, oh, I think I may have gone too far with this idea. Let me maybe adjust that a little bit. So do you follow what I'm saying? When you take a quick break and you relax and take a break from your painting and you come back, you might have more of an option to change things a little bit, to make it a little better. That's all. That's all I'm saying is, hey, if you want to make your painting a little better, you can do that. You can take a break, and then you'll be able to look at something and say, oh yeah, I need to erase that a little bit and draw the hat in there. And then you realize, well, I'm drawing a hat. It's going to be dark black, so I don't really have to worry about that pencil line anyway. So here we go. We're going to do the hat of the pirate here. And then I just look at my pirate's hat in my picture across from me. I can't show the picture because it's copyrighted. I wish I could show you the picture, but I might get in trouble. I don't want to do that. I don't want to show a picture and then they shut my video off. So here we go. I just look at the angle and say, all right, where's the tip of the hat? Well, the tip of the hat is approximately the same area of the figure's nose. So then I just take some dotted lines and say, okay, the tippy point of the hat up top is going to be at the same line as the nose on an angle like that. Now, how tall is the hat? I don't want to go, crazy and go off the picture with his hat, this pirate's hat, if it's not the proper length. So then I look and I scale my picture and say, okay, the pirate's, and I'm just putting my arm out, taking my pencil, putting it along the pirate's head and saying, okay, from his chin to the metal is one length, and from the bottom of his chin so it's two lengths. So his face is one length, and the top of the hat is the same amount of measurement to the top of the hat. So I take this length here, the face, go up one length, and that's the top of the hat. So you're just using your pencil as a measuring tool. You get the face, which is from the hat here to the chin. You can hold the pencil right there and that's the point right there where you're holding your pencil with your thumb and your index finger. Then you say, and then I looked at my picture, measured it on my picture, photograph that I'm working from, and I said it's the same length from his face to his chin as from the bottom of the hat to the top of the hat. And then I just take that and slide that up and go, okay, and there it is. Top of the hat. There we go. And that goes there, and then there's another rounded feature that goes here. And that goes up like that, and then over here, and then this goes right alongside his head there. Then we have a couple crossbones over here and the skull. Excellent, look at that. It looks great. All right, so we're having fun here, having an enjoyable time. We're doing our pirate. I think of pirates, they're funny. They laugh a lot and have a good time, and they clown around and spoof on everybody. They like to have a good time and have fun, so let's have fun too. Okay, so that's the hat here. That's the edge of the hat. Like that. Then I'll draw in a little bit of shadow, just where I see some shadow, so that when I go to paint, I can kind of already have a little bit of a line or two. Okay, that's good. All right, let's see now. Let's do his shirt, his jacket. He's got an orange jacket on. That looks really cool. And there's jacket is like this. And that's his lapel here. Okay, so that's the lapel of his jacket. And this is the shoulder here, like so. And then how far is his shoulder out? Let's take a look. Let's say, how far out is his shoulder to the corner where his shoulder starts to go downward, like this. So I go over to my picture and I look at my picture and I put my pencil up to the picture, photograph, and I say, okay, well, his head length's about the width of the tip of the pencil. And then I look over here and I say how much, and it's about 1.5 times the width of his face. So I say, all right, say there's his head, there's his head. So you got 1 is there, so that's the 1 head length there wide, and it's another 1/2 head length over here, and that's good. Like that. And then we have a little crease there for his jacket. And we're not going to get in too much detail here. I think I'm just going to leave his jacket very simple. His jacket over here is about like so, and his like so. Okay, so he's got some, his jacket has some interesting shapes there, and over here's his shoulder, like that. There we go. Look at that. All right, so we got the jacket. His shirt is white, so that's fine. He's got a little bit of a shadow there, and there's a little bit of a and then we have, there's a metal button there, like so, with some, so he's got some metal buttons on his jacket here. And then let's take a look. We have his parrot is over here, and this looks really funny. Let's see. Okay, so over here's the parrot. I'm going to contour draw the parrot. Okay, the parrot is looking quite interesting. There we go. And the parrot is there. And he is with his captain. And he is enjoying the... So there we go. We got the parrot over here. He's on the shoulder here. We're going to have a fun time painting this. This looks really good. And there's a little bit of white paper we'll leave on the parrot's beak there. And a beautiful red parrot. And this is a little darker. There's some grayish blue there. And some gold here. Gold feathers, some blue feathers, and then all red feathers here. All right, so we have the head, our portrait painting completed. We went ahead next, we did our hat. We did our careful measuring, where we just wanted to use our pencil as a measuring tool so we can go over to our picture, hold up our picture, get a measurement and say, okay, the head is so wide, like so. Well, how wide is the shoulder? The shoulder is 1.5 head lengths wide. So we took our measurement tool, our pencil, said here's 1 head length wide. We go down to the shoulder. We put a mark there. That's where the 1 1/2 point goes, and that's the shoulder. So you can use your pencil as your measuring tool as you go through your painting. You can use a ruler if you want to. With a ruler, it's a little more, maybe a little more challenging because you have to start doing mathematics a little bit and say, well, if the head on the picture is 1 inch wide, you know what I mean? Then you have to start using, well, the head is 1 inch wide. Then how wide is the shoulder? Then you have to start doing math. So if you just use your pencil as a guide and say, okay, the head is this wide, and in your picture, you just look and say, well, how, you hold up your pencil to your picture and say, well, the picture is, the pencil, you know, you might say that in the photograph I'm looking at, the head is only this wide. From the metal to the tip of the pencil is the head length. That's that wide. So that means when I look at my picture and then I hold it up to the shoulder, and if the shoulder is this wide, then I say it's 1 1/2, 1 1/2, 1 and then 1/2 pencil tip wide for the shoulder. Then I just do the same thing here and go, okay, the shoulder is 1 1/2 head lengths wide. 1 head length is here, like that. You make a mark there, you hold your mark there, and you say, and then what's another half of that? You can go back to here and say, okay, here's a half a head from the nose to the side of the head, and you go down here and you say, okay, there it is, another half of head length here. So if you use your pencil or your pen as your measuring tool, you'll have a lot better success than really kind of trying to, you know, do a lot of math and figure out with measuring tools or whatever else. You know, you could do other things. There's other things to do, but this is the real most simple way to do it, is use your pencil as your measuring tool. And, you know, you just kind of break down the scale as you go from your picture to your drawing, because they're 2 different sizes. I'm working from a cell phone. So I'm working from my cell phone, which is a very small picture, and then now I'm drawing a larger picture here. So all I have to do is just basically get the basic concept of it. How wide is something compared to my photo in my cell phone compared to what I'm doing here, and that's all I did. So you can kind of see that I did my scale according to my picture on my cell phone. I just brought it over here and did the same scale according to what I'm seeing in my picture. And we'll do this more on subsequent videos, so you'll be able to kind of get the feel of it more and more as you go, but that's the basic concept of it. Okay, let's take another break and we'll start painting, okay? Be right back. Okay, so we're back and we are in good shape. We've got our drawing all complete here. You saw how we basically formulated our whole drawing step by step. We used all the techniques and methods and processes that you would normally use if you're working in portrait work and doing figure work. This is the kind of thing you're going to be working on a consistent basis. Some of you that are brand new, I realize you're going to be a little overwhelmed. You're going to be like, oh my God, there's a zillion things you're covering here at one time. Maybe you need to watch this video 4 or 5 different times. That's possible. The way I learned was just by repetition. So I watched, you know, YouTube videos over and over and over and over again until I took notes. I took some notes down. So you do whatever you have to do to get this process, you know, really kind of strong in your mind, so that when you're going in and doing any kind of work, you're kind of going to be familiar with what we were just covering. So get familiar. If you like to do portrait work, you like to do figure work with watercolors, all I ask is, please just get familiar with this video, because this video, I'm really covering it A to Z here. I'm showing you right from start to finish. Portrait work, we're doing some figure work here, some clothing. We're having a great time. And if you just stick with this formula constantly, you'll have a great time of working with your portrait work. So now the next step is, we've got our drawing complete, our pencil drawing. And then if you completed with your pencil drawing, you might say, you know what, I want to maybe loosen it up. Maybe I don't like as many pencil lines on my watercolor paper as some other people. I really enjoy, you know, I can't see enough pencil lines on my watercolor paintings, but once in a while I might lift up just a few, you know, here and there. So I might just kind of soften up the painting a little bit with a few you know, use the eraser and just kind of loosen it up a little, and that's all. And that's a kneaded eraser here, a kneaded eraser which doesn't leave any crumbs. And then we're ready to start going in and doing our figure work. Now the thing here is, again, this is, I might erase a little bit on the jawline here. I don't like to see the jawline. I want to see that jawline flow right into the neck. And so what I'm going to do is, we'll start mixing our paint. We're going to get some cadmium red out on the palette. So for flesh colors, cadmium red and some yellow ochre. That works really good. And yellow ochre, cadmium red, mostly cadmium red, but you want to get some yellow ochre in there. And then also too, I tend to have a tissue with me, and I dry off my brush, so I rinse off my brush with fresh clean water. So I have fresh clean water in my bucket here. I rinse off my brush, then I take a little bit of water off the brush on a tissue. Then I'm going to go in and say, all right, let me get some cerulean blue for shadow. So for some shadow color, I'll use some cerulean blue. And that's all. Cadmium red, and then some cerulean blue. Now here, the main thing I want to impress upon everyone is your first wash that you put onto the face of your portrait work here, your figure. You're going to want to try to keep the brush down at all times and not lift up the brush. So what you're going to see me do is go down, get my flesh color, which is red, with a little bit of yellow ochre in there too, for my flesh color, and then you're going to see me touch down my brush, and then I'm going to keep the brush moving on the face the whole time without lifting up at all. So that's the key. It's a little bit of a challenge, but you can do it. So let's start out and say, okay, right on the nose. I'm going to put the nose color right down there. Then I'm going to pick up some more paint. And then I'm just going to go around like this, right down to the neck, to the shirt, where the shirt is there. And I'm going to go up here and go around. I can go into the hat. The hat's black, so we don't have to worry, and the hair's dark. Okay, and then I'm just going to mop around here. And then once I'm done with that, boom, good. Quick, rinse brush off, take off some water, go into the cool color, the blue, and then right away go down and do the blue. Get some of that cerulean blue in there, and then don't lift up the brush. Just keep moving the brush on the paper. Get some of that blue wash on there, and there you go. And that's good. We have to let this dry 100%. We can do the ear over here, like so. I'm using Fabriano Artistico rough paper, extra white. You can probably have you'll have a great time working with the Fabriano paper. It really does handle beautifully. There we go. Now that might not look all so incredible as I do this first wash, but we're going to do other washes over the top of this. We're going to take this first initial wash, that'll be the base, and then we'll go over the top of it with other darker washes to get some shadows and build some interesting light and shadow effects on the face. So you could also lift up a little bit if you want with a tissue. If you see some areas of light and you say, you know, I want it a little lighter over on this side of the face, the light is coming from this side, so that's what I might do. I might lift up a little bit over here on this side of the face and head. I might do that. I might lift up with my tissue and just like that. There you go. All right. Let's not forget, let's make that little insignia on the top of our paper. The light is coming from here. All right. Okay, we're going to let that dry. And then maybe I'll go in and get some burnt sienna and some cadmium red. And I might just do a little I'll start working in a little bit of some darker darks here on the ear. And if you find you don't think something looks perfect, you know, you can lift it up with this tissue. But the main thing is you have to let this dry 100% of the way. For the facial area, once you put in that first initial wash like we just did, where we got the main flesh tone here, you have to let this dry 100% before you start going over additional washes to create your details on the face, on the portrait. Okay, so that's why I'm going to take a quick break now. I'm going to come right back in just a second or two. And again, I always mention to you, if you haven't subscribed, why not? Please, you know, consider subscribe. It's right here on the bottom of the right-hand side of the screen. That subscribe button, once you click on that, it'll give you a choice. You can hit notification bell. Click the notification bell, all notifications, and this way, every week, week after week, month after month, and year after year, you're going to see my videos. They'll be coming straight to you. We'll work together. We'll continue to work on our portrait paintings, whether you like portraits. We do boat paintings, seascapes, landscapes, cityscapes. We do flower paintings. We do every type of imaginable watercolor subject matter. And the key thing is we're doing the same techniques, the same methods over and over. So no matter what you're watching here on this channel, you're going to be learning the same methods and techniques that are going to get your paintings looking really good, really, really beautiful. So let's not take that for granted. Let's hit the subscribe button so you can see my videos every week that they come out. Sometimes I do 2 or 3 in a week, sometimes 1 or 2. It depends how busy I am, but I always try to get at least 1 or 2 videos out every week. So every week you'll be seeing my new videos coming out. Okay? All right, so let's take a quick break. Again, we have to let this dry 100% of the way. It's still a little damp. I don't want to start painting onto damp paper. I want to let that paper dry 100%, and that's the key here too. Once you get that first wash on, you have to let it dry 100% of the way. If you have to blow dry it, that's fine too. But when you blow dry it, make sure it's 100% dry. And how you tell it's dry is the buckle in the paper goes away. So if you have a lot of buckles in your paper, that's damp paper and wet paper. If you keep drying it with a blow dryer, when the paper flattens out, then you know that's your paper is now dry. Your painting's now dry, and then you can go over and do other washes over the top. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to let this dry, and we're going to go over with some additional washes, okay? We'll be right back. All right, we're doing a marathon video here. We're doing portrait work, everyone. Thanks for coming by again and for sticking with us. We're just kind of going over all the fundamentals of doing a portrait style painting in watercolor. So I'm just trying to keep things really simple. This is a long video. I'm hoping you're going to watch this over a number of times, maybe 3 or 4 times. Watch this video over and over until you really kind of get the steps down. In the beginning, I cover a lot of the details of drawing our portrait here. And then also, too, we cover a lot of the details of how to scale all of the parts of your painting. If you're doing a portrait, you know, you want to scale things like your hat, your face, your shoulders, you know, your parrot. You kind of want to get everything somewhat close. You can exaggerate things, too, if you want to eventually. But in the beginning, try to get things more accurate to what you're seeing. So I'm working from a photograph, and I'm thinking you're going to work from probably my painting. I hope you will. Please work from my painting, my finished painting, and you see that in the beginning of the video. So try to work from that, and again, try to keep it as accurate as you can to my finished painting. So we're up to speed now. We covered the drawing, how to get your drawing, you know, somewhat accurate, how to look at the face, how to get the proper placement of your features on your portrait here, your face. You know, the eyes, the nose, the mouth, and so. What we're going to do now is we're going to kind of start to get a little of the details, more of the details of the face in. This is completely dry now, the face. That first wash I did, remember that? We did that first wash just a second ago where we used our cadmium red and cadmium yellow and mixed that up, and more red, little, you know, maybe 2/3 red, 1/3, 2/3 cadmium red, and 1/3 cadmium yellow. We mixed that up. We got a nice kind of flesh tone with that. We also added some cerulean blue over here. That's our shadow kind of feel, and then we added that into the sides of the head as we went, and underneath here under the chin. And we went into the hat area and the hair area because the hair and the hat are very dark. They're going to be black and dark brown, so you don't have to worry. When you're doing lighter washes, you can go out and push your washes out into areas that are going to be darker. You have to be careful on the edges where you might have lighter color paper. So you might have light paper on the sides of your portrait here. You'd want to keep your brush strokes more careful along your pencil lines of the sides of your head here, your portrait. But if you're going into an area where you have, let's say, your dark black hat, your pirate's hat, you don't have to worry. You can paint right into that because you're not going to see it. You're going to be going over with a very, very dark wash over the top of that. So I hope you understand that. And I'm going to go grab across the studio here, my apron. This way I can dry off my brush on my apron. I always do that. I just use my brush, rinse it off in the water, then I go to my apron, dry off my brush a little, and then I work in my palette. You can also use a tissue instead of using your apron. If you don't like to wear an apron, you rinse off your brush, and then you can tap off a little bit of water on a tissue, and you can work. The thing is, you just don't want to flood your palette with water. So when you rinse off your brush, if you're not drying off your brush a little, you're going to tend to have a lot of extra water on your brush. And then if you start dipping into all your paints, you're going to wind up with a lot of like really watery looking washes. And so you want to kind of make sure you monitor that. So the best way to do that is you rinse your brush off, you dry it off on a little bit of the tissue, then you go in and grab your colors and work from there. Okay, let me grab my apron quick. I'll be right back in a second. Okay, so I grabbed my apron from across the room, and I'm also going to maybe switch brushes here. I'm going to go to a small brush. So this is a number 6 Raphael watercolor brush, and they're easy to kind of find. They have the orange tips on them. Now I'm going to use a Da Vinci Maestro travel brush. This is a number 5. So this is a Da Vinci travel brush, number 5, and it's the brush, you know, you can put these in your knapsack, your backpack, your suitcase, your luggage, you know, your pocket, whatever. You know, they come apart, and you can put them into this here, like that. So if you want to go out and do a quick little sketch outdoors somewhere, and you just want to bring 1 or 2 brushes, you can pick up these Da Vinci travel brushes. You just unscrew them, and they're ready to go. You put them together like that, and you have a beautiful brush right there, ready to go. So let's use this brush to do some of the finer details. Let's get into the eyes here. So for the eyes, I'm just going to add a little bit of burnt umber, raw umber, burnt sienna, just to make a little bit of a darker wash there, and then more cerulean blue here. So I have a cool option as I go. And then I'm just going to start to go under the underside of the eye sockets here. So the thing is, I want to make sure I'm starting to build the, maybe I'll add a little bit of blue to that too, just to mix it up a little, warm and cool. Here on the side of the nose. And there's some more darks here, so I'll try to go a little bit under there, like that. There's a little cadmium red there. There's a little bit of cerulean blue for the eye. This Parrot's eyes are actually blue, so I'm going to put in some of that blue there. And over here too as well. Let's do some blue for the eye over here. And so I'm kind of working the, there we go. So we have some shadows for the eye sockets here. And some, we have a little bit of the highlight here. A little bit of that's the zygomatic arch, the cheekbone. So I'm just trying to get a little bit of that. I'm trying to accentuate maybe a few spots here and there. And then we're just going to keep working around here. I'm going to keep going across here, so there's a little bit of a, I'm going to try to keep that that nose bridge, the bridge of his nose is kind of bright. There's some light on that bridge of his nose there. So I'm going to try to keep that light, and I'm going to continue to work that darker shadow color underneath. And there's some more darker shadows under his eye. Like so. And there's some more darker shadows under the hat here, so and you can see I'm kind of mixing up my cadmium red and yellow ochre flesh tones to try to mix up some of the colors. Now always remember when you're painting, never worry how it looks until you're completely done, because when you're doing shadows like this and you're working fine shadows and different colors and shadows on your portrait paintings, you're actually going to find that they don't look as good until everything is 100% complete. So don't worry about how things are looking in the middle of the process. Wait till you're completely 100% complete, and then you can say, oh, okay, now I see, I can maybe notice something that doesn't look exactly perfect But try not to get too overwhelmed or frustrated with the process as you go. Just keep working what you're seeing in front of you. Like I'm just looking at all the shadows on my photograph that I'm working from. So you want to do the same thing when you're looking at my painting, when you're drawing and painting, or especially from painting from my painting, when you're looking at my painting, just keep looking at the darks and the lights, what looks dark, what looks light, soften things out. I'm kind of softening out the edges of things here. Underneath here is a little darker. And I go over the top of the, there's some blue. Let me go with some cerulean blue. There's some darker. Soften things up. Like that. Okay, so I'm really looking to get the soft looking shadows, smooth looking shadows, soft looking shadows. I'm not trying to do anything too drastic, you know. You can kind of see that I'm softening everything up. The nose here has got a little bit of a shadow on it there. He's got a little bit of, you know, I might want to go with a really like a nice dark, maybe even some cobalt blue, burnt umber, cobalt blue. Sometimes you have to make a little bit of a darker dark. So for his nostrils, I'm going to make a little darker darks there. Just a touch of darker darks there. Then here underneath is going to be red. And then we have a little bit of a touch of shadow under there like so. And then more, and we'll do a little bit of the lips here. So he's got there we go. Okay, so I'm working the shadows. And I'll try to get some more flesh tones mixed up here. Cadmium red, a bit of yellow ochre. Try to give a little bit of that red where the chin is. Maybe a little bit of touch of red there. And then we'll go with some more burnt umber, burnt sienna. Kind of you can lift up a little bit of paint if you want. I think that's good. We've done a lot of work to our figure here, to our portrait painting. We've gotten the facial features pretty good. You know, it's a little darker under here. So I'll add a little bit of darker brown and burnt sienna along the white shirt. He's got a white shirt on here, and then an orange. So here we'll start mixing in some orange. So maybe I'll put some orange in the face here, and then we'll start adding some orange and red. And I'll just start to work the colors. And we can use a larger brush, I guess, eventually here. And I'll take some blue. I just want to mix, I want to get some warm and cool everywhere. So I'll add some blue underneath there. There we go. Okay. A couple of splashes just to change some tonal values and colors. Okay, maybe I'll switch over back to my number 6 Raphael brush. And we'll continue on here. Let's get some reds and oranges. We're going to just start going right into the clothing here. So we're going to do some of the jacket. A little bit of light on the jacket so you can lift up with a little bit of light like that. And then you can mix in some blue. Try to do warm and cool everywhere. It'll look much more interesting. And there's some buttons there. We're going to do some buttons. And some more blue. Again, warm and cool everywhere. Okay, so I see some orange kind of floating in there. Okay, let's take a break now. We've worked quite a bit. We've got the face, the portrait working really well. We've got some really nice flesh tones in there to start with, and then we did some darker darks to get some shadowing in there. And I think we're looking pretty good with our shadows. We will go in and do a little more work to the face. I think we can add a little more interesting details to the facial area here. We might add some details to the corners of the mouth, maybe some areas of detail to the eyebrows and the eyes. But for the most part, we have it going in a good direction here where we have a lot of detail already in the painting. We're pretty much halfway there, maybe a little more than halfway there. So let's come back. We'll start working on the hat and the parrot, okay? So let's stick with this. It's a good game plan. And again, if you haven't subscribed, right down here on the bottom right-hand side is the subscribe button. This way you have all the videos coming to you every week. You'll be notified when you can join in and join along with us. Hey, if you don't like doing portrait work, at least maybe you're looking at it, watching it, following along, and then maybe in like a month or two, or maybe even a year from now, when you feel comfortable and you want to start doing figure painting and portrait painting, you'll already be up to speed. You'll already have in your mind a lot of the things that we're covering here that are going to kind of help you, so that when you do start, it's going to be a lot easier versus if you've never heard it before and you've never seen it before. If you see things and you hear things first, you watch along, you'll be much more likely to have an easier time producing the results you want in your paintings, okay? So this is watercolor painting, everything watercolor painting here on my channel. And again, we're doing portraits this time. And if you watch along, follow along, we're going to be doing more of these videos of portrait painting, figure painting. Follow along, watch everything, take some notes, and you'll be well on your way to having a much easier time of doing these compositions and these paintings on your own, in your studio, in your house, where you work, as you go forward as an artist. So whether you're just starting out or you've been painting for a couple of years or 5 years or even 10 years, you can do these portrait paintings, these figure paintings. It's just a matter of following the steps, the methods, the techniques over and over, and you'll just absolutely have an easier time if you're watching it a few times here and there on these videos and seeing how it's done, how I do my methods. You can also join it together with other things you're watching on YouTube, synthesize it all together, and you'll just have a better time of it, okay? So we'll be right back. We'll start up with some more painting here. We're going to finish up the hat and the bird, the beautiful parrot here. We'll do a nice red parrot, and you're going to see how beautiful this looks when we're done, okay? All right, we'll be right back. All right, are you still here? Unbelievable, you've made it. You've stuck with us. We're doing more washes on our portrait painting here of our pirate. We're doing a pirate and a parrot. How much fun. This is so much fun, right? We're having a great time here. We're having a great time. You know, that's the thing about portrait painting. I wanted to make a portrait painting and figure painting here that's going to be fun and exciting and also, you know, lighthearted. We're having, we're doing a pirate here and a parrot. It's kind of, you have a fun feeling about it, right? So let's continue on here. So we did a lot of work already. We did most of the first wash of the face here. So we did the portrait, we did the first wash. Then we did some darker darks here to get some of the shadows going in the eyes and the nose and the mouth and the underside of the chin here and the neck. So that's really in good shape. We did some of our painting on our jacket here. So our pirate's jacket, which is orange, looks really good. We mixed in some cool colors like cerulean blue to kind of give it that feeling of warm and cool, modulation of color. So we're not just looking like a, one color type of color scheme. Let's start doing our parrot. Before we do our parrot, let's do the hat. So the hat is black. We can use sepia tone, and this is, so we're going to use sepia tone and ivory black and Payne's gray, and we're just going to have a great time of it. We're going to slowly work our darks here, like so, right around. We're going to use some burnt umber as well. Mix in some burnt umber to that mix, so we could do some hair here on the side. And there is some hair over here. Very little, but there is a little bit of hair over here. So we'll just leave that as is. Okay, so now we're doing our, and I noticed there's some burnt umber and burnt sienna for a little bit of a change in color change here. So there's some. So that brim of the hat has a little bit of a color change in there, a little bit of a reddish brown color, and then the rest looks like pretty much black. And so we can and then some more reddish black here. So this goes up like this, like that. Then we're going to go around these skull and bones here. And there we go. We've got our hat complete. And the hat is pretty simple, you know. We didn't have to do too much really intricate work here. We just wanted to go around these skull and bones here pretty carefully. And we got that accomplished, and that looks pretty good. I'm just going to do a little splashing along the side of the hat. If anything gets out of control, you just lift it up with a tissue. So like that, you know, if you see a little spot you want to soften up a little bit. What else? A little more, couple of. Sometimes what I like to do is just get a little bit of light wash along the side of the face and head to kind of soften it and transition it into the white paper. So I don't necessarily want to do any fancy background here. I just want to get a little bit of something to kind of soften it up a little bit so it doesn't look such like a hard edge there. And then we're going to let's start working in. And then if you see you have some stuff that's okay, not a big deal. Let's get our parrot here. He's got some really beautiful red. Okay, so we're going to do our parakeet here. We're picking up some cadmium red and alizarin crimson. Maybe a little bit of orange too, why not? But mostly red. Let's get that beautiful cadmium red. I'm using straight cadmium red right out of the tube. No water, really. I'm just using straight red paint right from the tube, right from the palette. Okay. And we're going to do a little red spot on the top of the feathers of the head. Like so. Arr, Painty the Pirate! We're having a good time here. Have a good time with your watercolors. I'm not using hardly any water here. Just straight paint. And we're going to do the beak here. We might need to switch over to our number 5. Da Vinci Maestro, just to get a little more detail here. Like that, see that? Perfect, and then he has a little bit of colors over here. And then he has a really nice, let's see what we have here. There we go. And a little bit of blue and black, just to have that little bit of a so I just mixed some blue and black for those feathers over here. He's got a little bit of a, he or she, our parrot, has a little bit of that blue and black feathers there, and then some gold feathers there, a little bit of gold, and then some more of that cadmium red right up there, like so. And then we're going to do his feet. So we're having a fun time here. I'll put a little shadow there. There's a little bit of shadow here. Like that. But other than that, that's really looking good. Again, we can use our number 5 Da Vinci Maestro to do a little more fine detail. Let's go in. I think we need to do some eyebrows here. Let's do some eyebrows. And then I'll soften those out a little bit, like so. And maybe we should put in, let's see, anything else here? I think a little bit more of a shadow on this side over here. So I'll just soften that up a little bit. Make it a little darker there with a little bit of that burnt sienna, burnt umber. And you can always upgrade things, or add a little additional. I'll just put a little bit of extra darks on his eyelids there, just to give it a little more maybe a little bit of a shadow under here. So I'm going to add a little more red and burnt sienna, burnt umber flesh tones. I'm doing some flesh tones here. just for the cheeks here a little bit, just to kind of rinse off the brush, dry off the brush, and then just blend that a little bit. Maybe a little bit of red on the tip of the nose here. And I'm just trying to get pick up some shadows that I see. So I see more light on this side of the face and then less over here. And this side of the face has more light, so I try to leave more lights here. Okay, then once I get those few details done there, I might have a little bit of details here, a couple shadows on the white shirt, kind of like a sweater there. And a couple more maybe details on this here. And you can add in some more details if you want some shadowing. And there we have it, just some final bit of washes just to kind of get a little bit of detail in there. And maybe some cerulean blue. So I just like to add a little bit of color and just a little bit of color and texture, a couple splashes. Try to make a little bit of excitement on the paper here and there where there's nothing. Just if there's nothing going on your paper around the portrait, you can always add in a little bit of splashes or something if you feel like you like that look. If not, you don't have to worry. You don't have to add anything in there. You can add a little bit of a wash and then kind of blot up some, just so you have a little bit of something going on. Okay, I hope you all enjoyed that. It's a fun time doing portraits. Definitely a fun time doing portraits, and don't let it get to you. If you find that your portraits are a little bit rough to start with, just keep practicing them, practice them over and over. Don't get frustrated because they do take time. The main idea is you definitely, when you're doing your, when you're doing the actual portraits part of the painting, the face, make sure you're doing one wash, letting it dry 100%, then doing maybe some shadowing, and then blend those shadows in really lightly and carefully, and then let that dry. So what I'm saying is, if you want to take your time more when you're doing the facial features, the shadows and the washes on the face, be very careful with those. Let them dry, like do a little bit of a wash, then let them dry, then do another, maybe some more shadows, then let those dry, then maybe do like a third round of a few more details, and then let that be the the finish of it. Then you can go in and start doing the rest of your jacket and your parrot and your hat and all those things. But you just want to make sure you're letting your paper dry as you go, because if you keep going over damp paper and wet paper, that can really make for an unpleasant looking watercolor. So that's all you have to remember, is let things dry as they go. And you can use a blow dryer to speed the process up. You can work with that as well too. But I hope you'll follow the process as we went through this video. Try to follow this same process as you go. And we're going to do lots more videos just like this one with figures and portraits, and we're having a fun time. So if you didn't get it correct on your first try and it doesn't look good on your first try, no worries. We're coming back and we're going to do this again over and over and over again. So over the next coming months, weeks, and even years, we're going to be here doing portraits, figure painting for you, so you get the kind of overall basics of it, and then you can work from there. And once you get the basics, you'll have it down. It won't be a problem. Okay, so again, and I hope you will subscribe. On the right hand side down here below is the subscribe button. So if you want to keep learning about figure painting, portrait painting, and everything else watercolor, stick with my channel. We're having a great time here all together, and we'll see you soon on the next video. Okay, bye bye for now, and happy painting.